What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Stardust here. Welcome back to another episode of Community Voices. Today, I'm here with Rid. Rid, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
See, that's the second time you've done that. So for anyone who didn't have context, we tried to film like the first time round, but Rid's mic had to have a bit of a readjustment. So I've been asked twice now, so I'm double appreciated. So just basically copy and pasting what we did a little bit ago. Where did the name Rid come from?
Yeah, so basically, it was a nickname that I came up with in 2016 in the wrestling community on Instagram. There was this thing called leagues where we would pick like actual wrestlers, as in it's kind of like a role play thing, but it's not actually role play, where people just kind of assign themselves to a specific wrestler, and then I would make like match cards and shit, and people would vote for who to win. It was kind of fun, like back in the day.
That does sound pretty fun, to be honest with you. So another thing as well is that I asked you then. I'd love to let people hear the answer to it now. Is like the similarities between, like as you mentioned there, you used to be in the WWE games community. The similarities between the two. So obviously, an example that I give is that like people who watch Raw say, this sucks. Next week they'll watch it. Similar to the Avengers community, where even though a lot of people may say, this game's shit, they'll come back next week and finish the Mega Hives off or something like that. What other similarities do you see in both communities?
I think both communities both have a very passionate people in it. Same thing on in Avengers, same thing in like the wrestling. People want to tune in, even though they will say fucking mad shit about it. Same thing here. People will call names, people will insult each other, people will have drama. It's pretty similar. The only difference I had in my personal experience is that with Avengers, I'm more on Twitter, Reddit, Discord, while in the wrestling, it was just mainly on Instagram.
Hmm. So you obviously posted, quite a lot on Instagram. You've posted a lot of, wrestling stuff as well. What made you come into the Avengers community then? Because obviously, you've not just been into WWE, but you still joined them because that was like a focus. What was the focus with Avengers then?
Yeah, obviously, similar to everyone else, we were all at E3 2019 when the Avengers got revealed. We were all excited. We were all disappointed at launch. But I've always stuck around. I wanted to do a few mock-ups. I mean, I love the game for what it is at launch, even though it has a lot of like flaws in it. I mean, I can be patient with all of that thing that with all of the updates and all of that stuff, but there are always going to be ones that aren't. But yeah, pretty much that's all to it. Just came into it because I liked it.
You seem very sort of critical of the game in a lot of social spaces, which obviously totally fine. But obviously, just then you've mentioned that you loved the game for what it was at launch. Do you think that the game has improved a lot since launch?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely improved, especially with the bugs, because personally I didn't encounter a lot of bugs at launch, even though I was using like the actual OG PS4, which is kind of surprising. But yeah, for me, I think the game improved a lot in quality of life changes. There's a lot of updates, a lot of operations, kind of lackluster, but I would say it is improved in general.
For sure, yeah. I can see what you mean by lackluster. Like, for example, for me, I found that Kate's operation was miles better than Clint's. Like, I was in one of those boats where I was like, okay, I'm okay with this. This was relatively, good and lengthy. I mean, it took ages to come out, but it,
Yeah,
but it was,
that's probably the reason.
well, yeah, exactly, and that was a bit of fun. Whereas, like with Clint's, it was so short for how long that took to come out. So I can understand what you mean by like when certain things are a bit lackluster. So, not just that, but was the when you started editing, posters and stuff like that, was it because you liked the game? Like, what was it? An aesthetic about the Avengers that made you sort of think, yeah, I'm gonna go on Photoshop and work some magic?
Yeah, I mean, Photoshop is kind of like my hobby pretty much. I mean, it is my job as well right now. But every time I've been in a community, I've always made posters. I've always made like designs and stuff. It's just what I do. I enjoy making it despite the aesthetic.
Hmm. So okay, so in that case, what's your thoughts on the community then? Because obviously, because you've done a lot of design similar to creators like Allfather, you're going to get a lot of interaction on social media. You're going to be speaking to a lot of people. What's that like? What is the community like for you?
Mainly when I do a concept or anything like that, I get a lot of positive feedback from it. But what annoys me is people who are like, "Oh, that is unreal. This isn't gonna happen anytime soon." I mean, it's a concept. What else would you expect? It's not like fucking tomorrow that whole thing is gonna happen. I'm not expecting it to happen. That's the whole point of it being a concept. It's an idea. It's an
Mm.
imagination.
No, for sure. Like, I mean, obviously, again, like I mentioned, the All Father gets the very same, stuff in his replies as well. So I can understand that you probably come into contact with that a lot. But where did you learn your poster editing from? Where was what's kicked off the Photoshop hobby to begin with?
I mean, again, it's from the league thing when I used to do like cards and stuff. But I've always like self-taught myself. I never went to any fucking art college. I've never studied it in school. It's just something that I've picked up from myself. I mean, obviously, I followed a few tutorials on YouTube. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, mainly it was just myself sitting on my computer and just learning.
I'd still class watching YouTube tutorials as self-taught. It's not like they're there like guiding your hand to
I
it
mean,
or
it's
anything
a
like that.
beginner. Yeah, yeah, it's a beginner's thing.
Yeah, so I think that's totally fine. So okay, so we'll go back into what is it about Avengers right now? 'Cause you said at launch you loved it, despite all its problems. What is it about Avengers that you really love, and some stuff that you really dislike, and other things that you kind of you just shrug your shoulders at that isn't as big of a deal as in your mind as other people seem?
Yeah. What I love about it is obviously the combat and the fact that it's carrying the story further with each update. I think that's a cool thing. I don't think it's ever been done before in like a Marvel or superhero video game in general. But in terms of criticism and what I dislike, I've always been critical with level design. That's always been my biggest critique with Marvel's Avengers, is the objectives, the enemy variety, the way the things are telegraphed to the player. It's always just so generic with like standing in a circle, hacking. Also, I'd like to add is the HUD option. The HUD wait, what? The HUD options. Is that how I say it?
Yeah, no, you're
Yeah,
right.
anyway.
HUD options, yeah.
Yeah. I've been asking them all the time about it. They've been shrugging it off. And the thing that I think that people are kind of a bit too into right now is the cosmetics. I don't think the cosmetics should have that much attention.
Mm. That's a really good point actually, because like obviously with this community, I think that the biggest thing that people have spoken about is loot seems to be second, which is a big surprise given that obviously that's the thing that's going to keep people around, as well as what you mentioned, level design and objectives. Whereas a lot of people in this community seem to be focused on the cosmetic side. What is it about the cosmetics that you think people are so focused on compared to the other stuff? Because like every single day we see concepts from All Father, from I can't remember his name, and I feel really bad for that. But I saw an individual who recolored Cap's Stark Tech outfit. I think his name's Ted something. Anyway, sorry, I apologize for the person who I just completely forgot your name with. But anyway, you see a lot of concept art for cosmetics. What is it about cosmetics that you think makes people focus on that over everything else?
Yeah, I don't blame people for focusing on cosmetics because that's mainly what the actual devs are focusing on. So when they're focusing on the cosmetics, that's what the community is always talking about. If the devs communicated about stuff like loot, level design, then you would actually see that topic being more spoken about. So yeah, pretty much the devs that are causing all of the cosmetic talks because there's obviously a weekly reset with cosmetics. There's always cosmetics being announced. There's always sales. So that's just pretty much what the community has always been talking about.
Do you think this game then shot itself in the foot a little bit by promising that expansions, characters, and so on would be for free? Because obviously, in that case, whether the game did amazing at launch or not, cosmetics I think would have always had to have been one of the primary focuses because that's their moneymaker after launch. So do you think that it was better for them to do it the way they're doing it, or do you think people should have been paying for the characters slash the operations and stuff?
No, I think the way they're doing it is actually better for the game it is. But I think the reason there's always a lot of buzz about it is because the actual cosmetics themselves aren't really appealing. So maybe if they were actually high quality cosmetics, people wouldn't even be critiquing them at all.
I can, yeah, no, for real. Like, I can totally understand that. You know, like this week, obviously, I just made a video completely trashing the crash test outfits
Oh,
and so on. Like, obviously, they're horrendous. They're
yeah,
awful.
can I say
But
those are actually probably the worst like cosmetic drop I've ever seen since the game came out.
it's, I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong. You know, there's gonna be a human being out in this world that probably thinks, oh, that's okay, and maybe buy it. You know, just for the sake of it. But to me,
Yeah,
it's
that was
just
revealing.
ah, bless him. But it's just fun.
Yeah,
It's just fundamentally wrong for a Marvel game to have Thor dress up as a crash test dummy before it, anything else, right? Like, and it's just yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely a problem with the game, but I do think that, you know, there's problems all across the board. What do you think it is behind the scenes maybe that is causing all these kind of very weird decisions? Do you think it's people in higher ups shouting down at poor CD to, like, you know, do this, do
oh,
that, or do you think it's CD's decisions that are impacting the game?
now, I don't think there's someone in the higher ups who's like, oh, we need crash test outfits, release them like next week. Now, I think it's more like be the side of the team, the team that's designing these cosmetics. It could
Mm.
be like one or two guys having to design eight cosmetics for each hero. So there's going to be these times where they hit like fucking designer's block and end up with shit like what we got yesterday. So yeah, but at the end of the day, I don't know how to put it, but like what All Father said to make the thing like a monthly kins drop. And throughout the month they would release like a nameplate week and a takedown week and stuff like that. That could work. I could see that work to give them time, like for the small team to actually work on high quality skins.
I agree with you. I think that would have been such a I think that would be such a quality idea. I remember when I think it was right before Kate's operation or Clint's, they did a week where it was just emotes, and I remember the pun like, "Are you feeling emotional?" And I actually wanted to punch my computer screen because it was like, "What is that?" You know. So I think if you publicly announce it and you explain like, "This is our setup," you know, and we promise that the end of the month skins are going to be quality comic slash movie skins, then, you know, I think you're onto a winner there for sure. So besides that, then, what is it like? What level design changes would you want to see going forward? Because you said that obviously the objectives and stuff are really generic.
Yeah, I want to see stuff that I think when people say that the game doesn't make you feel like the Avengers, and then people would kind of like defend that by saying, "Oh, you should have the right build." I don't think it's in terms of combat. The combat itself is already good. It's the objectives that the Avengers are doing. You're having a game where the Avengers are fucking scouting for fucking loot from the ground. I mean, come on. That's just not gonna feel like an Avenger. We need stuff like saving people from a building, maybe having to infiltrate a Hydra base, stuff that we've seen before. At the same time, give each hero a role. That's the most important thing. But it's kind of hard because you don't know which hero you're going to be playing. So having to make character specific objectives being the primary is going to affect it in a big way. So I've brought up something similar to it before, where it's like have alternate ways to complete the mission depends on which character you're doing. So maybe there's a building that you need to infiltrate. If you're playing as Black Widow, you can sneak in through a tunnel with laser stuff. If you're as Iron Man, you can fly up to a window or something like that. It all leads to the same main ending, but the way they're going through it is way more handcrafted and way more creative, I would say.
So, I mean, that's a quality idea. I'd love for something like that. I think that obviously, you know, considering how long it takes to make a mission now, I feel like that would have to be something that's like quite a bit down the road. You know, when they're back in the office or stuff like that. Just because of the pace that they're doing missions at the moment. What do you see Avengers doing in the future then? Because obviously we know that Wakanda's probably got a lot with it. Some, in my opinion, may be held back for Wakanda, probably, and other stuff that'll actually be done by then, such as like, you know, A bit of the cosmetic rework. We'll probably have a few more objectives and stuff like that. But in the long term, what do you think Avengers is going to do?
I want to say that they're going to bounce back, but at this point, it's kind of yeah, I don't know. I'm on the fence. Like I'm still going to be playing. I'm still gonna check out every update. I'm still gonna do my mega hypes, but I don't know in terms of like the game in general in the future. It could bounce back with a huge expansion that just overhauls everything. It should make the game just look kind of different, even in the UI. Make the people who are logging in feel like this is a completely new game. Because seeing the same menus, the same quality is just gonna give them flashbacks of the game being bad. So when there's an expansion, they would need to actually overhaul a lot of stuff to make it feel different. That's what I think they should do in the far future.
Do you think then, when we get to War for Wakanda, which is like not far at all now, do you
Yeah.
think that when you log in, if the UI has completely changed, do you think that that will breathe new life? Like because obviously we're assuming Wakanda's got all these different elements to it. Obviously, chests look different, transportation, the wall running, just the area in general. Obviously, we've got Black Panther to play as well. Do you think that will be enough to breathe new life, or do you think if it does, it'll be quite short term?
Yeah, I mean it definitely will like breathe new life to the game. As long as like what's after, they need to hold that pace and keep going at like a faster pace to keep the players in. Because if they just release the expansion with the new stuff and then they just go silent for a couple of months, then that's just gonna it's like shooting themselves in the foot again.
For sure, I think a good way to say it is that they need to carry on any momentum that they do get from Black Panther, which they're gonna get some naturally just because of the marketing for it that they've done
Obviously.
at the moment. Like we're a couple of E3s off this essentially being launch marketing, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of the it's an exciting time in August. So what do you think that they could do literally right now to kind of make the deal sweeter for current players, for players who have stuck around, because there's going to be so many players that come in for the first time for Black Panther. Obviously, they're doing the free weekend as well. What do you think it will? What do you think current players need to sort of be like, okay, my investment was worth it? Do you think just War for Wakanda being good is enough, or do you think like we need a bit more?
I think maybe a way to compensate for players' patience, kind of like maybe earnable credits. But I've had this idea of like having the MCU Black Panther skin being given away for free to respect Chadwick Boseman.
Mm.
But I don't know if they're actually do it because imagine the look after the expansion drops when you see the marketplace and it's just MCU Black Panther for fucking 14,000 credits. That's kind of tough.
It's an awkward look. I mean, I made a point, and I think it was on Community Voices, where like an emo of just for everyone, you can make it like an every hero emo of the Wakanda Forever thing, and
Yeah, I
all
had the
and
same idea.
any money that got sent, for that, 100% of it goes to a colon cancer charity or Chadwick's family or something like that. I think that'd be really sweet. I mean, obviously maybe it's unfair to say 100% because most companies do take a bit anyway. So like CD saying 50%, I don't think is like scummy. It just would be better to be 100%. So I think that like doing something like that and kind of respecting Chadwick in that regard would be really sweet. But I think like an MCU skin for free would be pretty cool. But I'd be more happier if they charged the normal amount but gave like a big percentage of it to like one of those options. So I think that'd be pretty sweet. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there are still going to be people who will still like see that as a bad thing and be like, oh, they're still profiting from Chadwick's death, and it's I don't know what to say to them, but I mean, don't be a dick about it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I
but
think
yeah,
that's the same both sides, isn't it? Because like basically, you could say to CD like, don't be a dick about it. If you're gonna do something for Chadwick, go all out with it. And to the community, if they see anything tribute to Chadwick. Like they're profiting. It's like, come on, relax a bit,
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but anyway, so we've spoken about the future. Now let's speak about your infamous roadmap. the
Oh, shit.
the one that hit Forbes. Uh, Shout out to Paul Tassi and stuff like that.
Wait,
So
Forbes. I thought it was Forbes.
yeah, no, wait, what?
I don't know, bro. I thought it was Forbes. I don't know why.
Forbes. No man, it's Forbes.
Yeah, all right, Forbes. It was just the Paul Tassi website.
Fucking Forbes. Anyway, oh god, that's broke me. That I've out of focus. All right. Anyway, yeah. So okay. So obviously you made that as just like a little bit of a concept. Did you expect it to like blow up? Because it's everywhere. It
Yeah,
still is
yeah,
everywhere.
I did. I did expect it to blow up because when I try to replicate a specific art style from a company or something, I always nail it. I make it look fucking believable. Like I even had the fucking warning with like, oh, this roadmap may change. It does not include all in progress work. Um, I mean, yeah, I kind of expected it to blow up.
I like that confidence there. That's like the first time you've been like, yeah, I am fucking sick.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I have to.
do you think like with that roadmap then? Because obviously a lot of people were saying, this is a bit like even Paul Tassi was like, this is a bit, bit crazy. Like, for example, one of them was the legacy missions. So it's like, you want all those missions coming, all that mission chains. Like, whoa, settle down
With
and stuff
villains,
like
oh
that.
hell no.
Exactly. So it's interesting. Like, so when you were making it, was the idea for it to be like, okay, I think they'll be able to do this, or was it just like balls to the walls, fucking go for it?
I'm pretty sure it was just balls to the walls.
So, well, okay. So then I'll ask you then. In that roadmap, obviously you've got stuff like Marvel Zombies, you've got She-Hulk, Winter Soldier, Ultron. What on your own roadmap is the one thing, so you can only choose one, that you would like to see in the game the most?
That's a tough one. I mean, some of them are pretty much going to happen anyway, so I'm
Yeah,
going to
that's
pick
true.
one of the most realistic one, the
Hmm.
unrealistic ones, I mean. I would say either Avengers Zombies or Legacy.
Okay, yeah, that makes yeah. I could see Marvel Zombies happening. To be fair, I've been a big advocate of wanting like Marvel Zombies to be on a Halloween event. I think that'd be really sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, they could. I mean, there's a bunch of different sort of seasonal things they could do. I think that was always supposed to be the idea when they said events and stuff. It's definitely interesting that we've only just like gotten events now because it was mentioned on like I think there was the launch war table. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I remember it.
we finally got there in the end. But okay, so speaking of events, out of all the events that we've had like at the moment, which one's been your favourite? And like, if you've got any sort of criticisms about events, what are they?
I think it's the same as everyone else. The event cosmetics have somehow been a paid cosmetics. Like imagine if Marvel's Avengers Zombies come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get these mission chains. And let's say there's a horde mode with it with like zombie enemies like fucking Reapers. And then you do all of these and you don't get any skin. And if you want a zombie skin, you have to go to the marketplace and purchase it for fucking $14. Yeah, that's the biggest criticism I have with these events. Like the Red Room, for example, they had the Red Room outfits for $9 each for an event celebrating a movie. At least give the Black Widow one for free. But I mean, it's always going to be about money, anyways.
I think if the game was doing a lot better finance wise, I don't think that would have been an issue. I do think that that's like it's so obvious, right? If you want people to jump in, play your event, and you give a little dangling carrot to the people who aren't bothered about gear. But
Yeah,
obviously, I think that it was sadly we're not in that sort of time. So I get why they did it, but I agree with you that like in another world that should have definitely been what ended up happening. So, okay, so enough about the game. Let's talk about your role in the community in general. So, obviously, you're known very much now as the dude who was a part of the original Wasteland server slash Gamerverse now. Um,
yeah.
Tell me about that. What made you? And you can be completely honest here. As you know, it's you say it however you want. Just because I know a little bit about it, and I know that like, you know, it might bring up some controversy. Ooh. So
Oh,
you tell me like
maybe a
how
controversial episode.
tell it. Yeah. So tell me how you made it, who you made it with, and why you made it.
Yeah, so basically, how now I'm gonna start with why I made it. So we were in High Roller's Discord and we used to argue a lot, the points where he made an Avengers debates channel. But for some reason, the arguments he kind of hated him. I mean, that's the lightest way to put it. Nothing against it. I mean, it's his server. I respect that. Then me and Allfather had this idea to make a server where we bring in people from all sides of the community to discuss and respectfully debate about the game. And then so came the Wastelands. The name was pretty much stupid because it just implied that it's just a wasteland and people are trying to kill each other in the fucking Discord. Uh, but either way, we still managed to get a lot of people in it. We still managed to get a few discussions. We got a few content creators in it. But there's always these kind of like a bit too far arguments where they get to a point where it's just like stop. It's not worth it anymore. It's not about the game. It just goes to name calling and goes to all the other fucking shit. So we had to enforce a few rules. I had to get a few mod team, and at the same time, we managed to get one of my favorite content creators, Kyle, and one of my other favorite content creators, we managed to get Suki, and we were like, we were happy about it. We
Sorry,
were like,
sorry.
we're gonna have two people from the opposite side of the community discussing about the game. But what we got was different.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, we got a war going on. It just got to the point where it's like people were just annoyed by it. They were just arguing and going personal. And then me and the mods just had to kind of like mute it for a bit. I mean, they didn't break any rules specifically, but we had to mute it just for the sake of it. And then they just ended up going. We had to let Suki go. We had to let Kyle go, and yeah, I mean, it gotten calm ever since.
So, with the server, you know, back when it was Wasteland, acting in ways that weren't in line with your own, such as like raiding the main server, you know, harassing people, etc. Was this the moment that like that made you rebrand it and take like a new hardline stance on it? Because obviously
That was exactly the moment.
because there a lot of times where like for example I used to pop in and out, and the reason being for that is because obviously I used to get, you know, invites like, oh, you know, we're having a nice chat, I'll go in there and I'll scroll up and there's a picture of like my friend in there and people are saying this, that, and the other, and it's like I was like, oh my god, this is gross. Like, and it was one of them sort of things where it was kind of, you know, and obviously I spoke to you about it quite a bit, where it's like, you know, dude, you're not going to be able to control these fucking people. Like, this is not a good idea, you know. And granted, now it's a lot more peaceful. But you're like, so obviously the community has been divided since day one. Do you feel like your actions alongside, you know, your server encourage that divide or try to bring people closer together?
I mean, my goal was to bring people closer together, which I think we kind of did. There has been a lot of people who used to be like opposite sides who are now kind of like talking normally, just like fucking mates. And in terms of division, I think it was some people in it who were encouraging it, name calling, labeling, all of that shit. Some of them we had to get rid of. Some of them we just had to put in check. We just had to talk to them normally. I mean, I'm not one for just fucking kicking people out and just banning them straight up like for the first time. I'm gonna have to talk to them. I tell them to be good about it, pretty much,
Mm.
because we're here to all just discuss a game. We all have the same passion. We don't want it to just be divided. But at the end of the day, I've managed to come to my senses and realize that there's always going to be division. But what I can do is just kind of close the gap a bit.
You'd be surprised that I think that, like, with both sides of the community, it's a weird one because obviously, say I make a incredibly, this is just from my experience, say I make an incredibly positive video, like, say I'm obsessed with these OLTs coming out and I am buzzing, right? And I'll make a positive video. The comments
Yeah.
will look very different to the video I made just then, where it's like shill, fucking CD, cocksucker, or etc. etc. But those very same people, if I made a negative video, even though it's still me, would be like, "Oh, this video's sick. I love it." And it's kind of like, I don't think that it's ever been anything against people themselves. I think it's
Yeah.
the message that they're standing for. So this goes for both sides. So like, for example, and again, we bring Allfather up a lot, but I suppose he's quite, a big part of
Influential.
like the server and stuff like that. Me and Allfather, obviously, we've disagreed on stuff. We've also really agreed on stuff, but there's never been there's never any hatred there. Like, I don't hate Allfather for disagreeing with something I've said, and I don't know this, but I'd like to assume he doesn't hate me for the same thing. So, and I think that obviously your server at the beginning, it kind of, obviously because you used to have those labels, are you a shill, are you a hater, and stuff like that. I definitely think it would have encouraged that divide a little bit, but you did end that pretty quickly, to be fair. So, and I appreciate that. But would you say that because of your server being what it used to be before you took a hard stance on it, that it's encouraged inspiration for a lot of this harassment, raiding, and stuff in other servers, if you know what I mean?
I don't know. Maybe it did like accidentally, because some people will obviously see the wasteland and be like, "Oh, that's a great idea." And then when we start to like actually enforce a bit of rules, they're going to be like, "Oh, this is shit. This is just like the official server. We're just getting banned." And they went and did a server of their own, which is, I mean, good for them. If they want to continue their own cause, I mean, fucking all power to them. But what you said with All Father is kind of where the community shines. Is when two people who usually disagree and agree kind of get along. That's kind of where it all shines.
Mm. I definitely, and here's the thing as well, is like, I don't want people to kind of like, because your vision of the server, and I've always said this in every conversation we've had, is that the vision you've got is brilliant. There's no, there's no bad thing about your vision of it, but the only problem is that you had to rely on other people to agree with you, right? And
Yeah.
obviously a lot of people, unfortunately, didn't agree that way. And, whether it was people on the positive side that wanted to stick it to the bullies, or, people on the other side wanting to fuck off the corporate shills and shit like that, there was always going to be that pride there. And I think that when you put a bunch of animals, essentially, in the most polite word, in a cage together, they're going to fight, and it was,
Yeah,
a different,
obviously.
yeah, I definitely think that, even though it was a good idea, I definitely think that even though the server's gotten a lot more quieter, you've definitely got what you wanted now. It's just obviously hoping that it doesn't spawn anymore, because obviously the server, you got into a lot of drama through the server, for such as like there was a lot of harassment to, a mate of mine, Avengers Discord mod Calix, for example, his photo was always being put on there and stuff like that, and it was really, it was nasty stuff. And obviously people hold you and Allfather and mods there and stuff responsible for that. What do you say to people like Calix and other people that may have been sort of harassed by the server? Because obviously that's not your intention. So what do you say to those people?
Yeah. I want to kind of quote what Allfather said about the server. He said that you won't get banned for stating positive or negative opinions. I mean, anyone is allowed to question your opinion or call out your take. Mods aren't here to back you up because you got upset because what someone said. And if you can't dish it out, be prepared to take it. So everyone is kind of equal when it comes to game debates. But when it comes to like actual personal attacks, sending pictures of someone, that's never what we wanted. That's always never been the case with our intentions. We always just wanted to have discussions about the game. I mean, we've expanded now to like all types of Marvel games, but mainly in Marvel's Avengers since it's the most kind of popular right now. So yeah, I would apologize. I want to apologize to Calix if we've ever caused him any distress. I will hold myself accountable for it because I didn't make it clear to the people in there that that's not what we're doing. But now I think it's gotten a lot better, I would say.
I would say it's gotten a lot better. I mean, like I used to say to, I used to pop in and out all the time, but now I've stayed in there because there's been, I've not seen anything. I've gone, that's just not, and it's been good. So I think that, I commend you and All Father and mods and stuff. Just for sort of putting the foot down and being like, okay, we have this vision, and if you don't agree with it, then you can go elsewhere. So, hats off to that for sure. And another thing as well that I actually find quite interesting is, when I was looking in the server, it would very much seem that certain personalities would go into the server, right, and it would kind of become their server. Now, I don't know if you know what I mean by that, and I hope you
Yeah,
do.
I kind of know what. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And so was that kind of like a fear that you had, where it's like all these personalities, because obviously being a content creator you've got to have quite a big one. Were you afraid that all these personalities would cause quite a big, like, oh my god, this person's in the server, I don't know, I need to, agree with them, I need to talk to them and stuff like that?
Yeah, that is exactly what's happened in like a lot of dramas in there where we got a big creator in there, and a lot of his viewers or fans were in there as well, so they have to agree with him. And if he's arguing with someone, they're going to argue with that someone and back him up. So if a mod comes in and tries to like stop that, he will get bombarded by a lot of people, which they kind of get overwhelmed. Which Jazzy, bless him, he got overwhelmed a lot by these. Which I mean, I respect him for standing his ground, but damn.
Yeah, like it was,
Yeah.
like the Jazzy obviously being quite a young lad and stuff like that. So obviously that's, because we're sort of talking about kind of the toxic side of the community. What kind of advice would you give to someone joining the community right now? I mean, I'd tell them to run personally, but if you if so,
Yeah,
if
that's what I was about to say. Just
just don't. But if they decide not to, what would you kind of suggest? Because if there's one thing that I've realised is that it's very difficult to just be allowed to be a fan, and it's very difficult, to do anything but be on the fence or 50-50 without being like name called. So what advice would you give to someone who's kind of new in this community?
say to state your opinion and stand your ground. Be neutral if you can. Like if you're always going to be a fan, I mean, you can, but when someone comes at you for your opinion, maybe I don't know what you could tell them. Yeah, you should stand your ground to it. But if you're getting called out for something that's pretty dumb, I mean, fucking accept it.
Oh, mate, that reminds
Looking
me.
at
This
you,
reminds
Iron
me of
Age.
your Twitter feud, yeah, with Iron H. Oh God. Well, I mean, speaking of Twitter users, I mean, people on Twitter can see that you're friends with the infamous Avengers hater, right? So, is there any scoops that you can give here? Like, do you know who it is? Is it anyone that we know?
No, I don't know who he is, but I've played with him like in Avengers, and he came into the Chimera with his fucking level one Kate Bishop iconic outfit, which I don't know if he actually plays the game or is he just there to troll, but it kind of gave me the vibe that he hasn't played the game ever since launch.
I mean, good for him for having a character, right? I mean, it's funny stuff. Like, obviously I wanted to get him on the show, but they were like, no, do someone else before me, and then do another person. I was like, bro, just like allow it. Let me interview you. But I mean, they've obviously. I commend them for sticking to the character. So, like, do you think they actually hate the game as much as they say, or do you think it is like a gimmick?
I think it is a gimmick. They overhate, I would say. I mean, they could actually hate the game, but they're overhating to kind of get a reaction. That's what trolling is in general.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, um, not just okay. So we'll go back to other content creation and stuff like that. What content creators do you watch in this community? And is there any that have kind of inspired you or made you think to yourself, maybe I'll do a YouTube channel one day? Because you're not a bad talker, to be fair.
I mean, I always watch my favorite Marvel's Avengers content creator, and that is Stardust. No, wait.
Cheers, mate.
Sorry. No, but there's a guy, I forgot his name, which is the one that sits in front of a green screen and just looks at Reddit. That's a pretty good guy.
The guy that sits. Who's that? Am I?
Damn, I keep forgetting his name.
No, wait. I need
Wait,
to
wait, I'll actually I'll get him.
because I feel like I'm being awful. Like I thought you were making a joke.
No, oh, there he is. It's Synchro Champ. Yeah, I like this guy.
Synchro Chan. Okay, well that's a new name that I've not like heard
Yeah, he's
before.
not
So
really active in the actual community. He just does YouTube videos, and he has a really like fun and colorful personality.
that's dope. So okay, so there you go then. So that's someone new that people can go and check out. Have you ever thought about doing like videos yourself?
No.
Well, is there any reason for that? Is it just like just not your sort of thing, or because you do a lot of because you do obviously a lot of posters, concepts, and stuff like that. So have you ever thought about just kind of like putting them on a different platform?
I mean, I try to do like, these speed run arts, shit like that, where it's like just a video sped up. But in terms of actually talking in a YouTube video, I don't think it's possible because I live in quite a busy household. So it would be kind of impossible to see a person living in a foreign household speaking English to a computer. That I would just look weird.
I can appreciate the honesty there. Well, I mean, is there anything else that you would like to kind of, say before we maybe finish off today?
Yeah. I don't I would say join the Gamerverse Discord.
Join the Gamerverse Discord. Well, I'll put it
Link
in
in the
I'll put it
description.
in description for you so people can jump over and stuff like that. So
Yeah, sure.
thank you, Red, for being here today. Thank you everyone for watching today's episode.
Wait, aren't you gonna answer the questions from the Twitter?
See, here's the beautiful thing. I actually was asking you throughout the episode, sprinkling it in.
Oh, oh. Dude, I
Right.
was waiting for the Alkine question.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was waiting for the Alkine
You're waiting for the
question.
alcohol. All right, fine. Okay, for people who are unaware, let me go and grab the Alkime question. Okay,
Yeah,
S-
Alkine publicity.
so we'll give Alkime some publicity. So here we go. So yo, Rid, where the fuck do you find the images you post in the group chat by Alkime was taken?
Like it out. Yeah, I love that question because I actually don't know. Maybe I have a dealer that just sends me random memes and I just send them to the group chat and everyone just gets weirded out by them, which I love.
I normally just like search the dark web for my dank memes. So if you
No, I actually go outside for once and look for pictures like on the fucking streets.
wait,
Take a screenshot, come
you
back home, and then send it to the Twitter group chat,
oh my
which is
god.
called Avengers haters are not hyped. For what?
Jeez, you're in a
For the
group.
OLC?
You're in a group chat called Avengers haters. I kid.
Yeah, I am in it.
I got added to like I think it was like a group chat called Avengers Shield like twice.
Oh yeah, I love me some shills.
Cause I got on with like with Assemble for Charity and Stardust as well. I was like, fucking hell, all right, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, symbol for charity, bro. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Are you
it's
doing another one?
I mentioned before that like I probably won't be doing any for Black Panther even though I was going to just because like by the time it comes out I really need to be looking for job and I don't want to like be like because last time I stayed up for every fucking night just like planning it thinking about it and stuff like that and obviously when
It
the
paid
time
off,
came it absolutely wiped me out so I want to just
bro. I just opened Twitch and I see you wearing a suit like a fucking smarter, and, and you're reacting to the fucking Black Panther announcement. It was fucking amazing.
Oh, for fuck's sake, yeah, I remember that. I was screaming. Like, no, because the annoying thing is, it's literally right before it started, I lost all my save data. So I was
Oh shit,
stressed.
yeah.
And I fucking and then we watched the Black Panther thing. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. And then I had to watch Hawkeye for like 24 hours. I was like, this made me miserable. Like, I couldn't play Avengers the next day because it was making me feel sick. Like I was like, I can't watch this game anymore.
That's me every day, bro.
Oh, mate, it's too much. We've been
I've
poisoned
been dragged to
by
the mud.
Scott Amos. That's what it is. He's put.
Okay, bro, you have to get Scott Amos at one point.
I'm gonna be able
Bro,
to get fucking Scott Amos on here. What are you
fucking
talking about?
getting community voices, bro. What did you mean by the reigning supreme mission chain being filled with content? Can you please elaborate on that?
He probably meant like the different type of hives. So you've got hives, you've got elite hives, you've got elite heroic hives, you've got the mega hives, you've got. It's like fuck. Whoa,
If you can gain
shit.
control of the terminal,
Do you reckon that he's like a
yeah,
beekeeper in real life, and this is why he's like so into these hives and shit like that? Because
I feel like
the game genuinely stresses me out that much. Sometimes I actually develop hives.
fucking crystal dynamics is aim in real life.
Because yeah, CD is aim in real life confirmed. Well, I don't know, because like I would probably say that Square Enix are probably aim, and CD are like Justin Hammer.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, we've gone a bit mad there. Right, so okay, so thank you so much for joining me here, Rid. Hopefully, I can get Scott Amos on. Appreciate you opening up about everything, and thank you for watching. And I will see you all later.